To Bright that the DPC is calling you. Bright talked to him that I'm not meeting you at your office. Let us meet at Ajip Motel. Bright chose some of us because they have not been in good terms with the DPC. Chose 3 of us, me, Segawa Price, and another guy called Manzi. We moved in a car. But before getting there, Mans got out and we continued 3. Reaching Ajip Motel, we found that the DPC was there and another lady seated in a distance. Bright moved. Even Price was coming out of the car. He said, no, Price, you stay in the car. What if they are arresting us? They arrest us all. No, you stay. We will coordinate the rest if they take us. As I think the Holy Spirit was still talking to me. So we moved with the DPC in a certain corner. There came a young man on phone. DPC asked Bright, have you come with this one? He said, no, for me I have come with Simon. Bright asked the man, who are you? He said, I'm a security officer. I have arrested you. The lady we met seated in the compound also came with handcuffs. They started struggling with Bright, and there came other 2. They were all in civilian, they are not in uniform. So as they struggled with the Bright, I tried to escape. But before I got to the gate, they also got me. They brought us in a double cabin, but behind it, there was another car because they were giving it orders. This one like it was opening the way for the other one behind, saying reduce the speed. They have cars each side, left and right. But in the car, it was not good. Those of you who know this, I don't know how it is called, Magaro, pliers, that one. They use it to squeeze your skin there, under the armpits, even not on the balls, but on those soft springs, soft places. So it was not simple. Asking that Mr. SG, you gave me 80 million to mobilize the Mbarara guys to burn up the town. You gave me the money at Hotel Triumph. For me, I have never been even at the gate of Hotel Triumph. Beating you everywhere. What I remember in the car, someone tried to pull my ear. I said, please excuse me, that ear is temporary there. Because they are temporary, they are just plastic surgery. And she laughed and just left. Because I said, that ear is bakan bagambori nyampo. Namjana kweshengereza okutoko kwasiho kurechi. Yasheka yakurgo. So we came up to, before leaving the Ajip Motel, in the backyard, they had to cover us on handcuffs. I was lifting Bright on my rocks. There was a man this side and another on this side. Each one is saying, you are giving us sleepless nights. You don't know where the slap is coming from. You don't know where the baton is coming from. You don't know where the Makerere is coming from. You just hear the thing knocking you anywhere. They brought us up to a certain place where I heard them saying, let's drive to Kampala Club. Kampala Club. At Kampala Club, that's where we changed the car from this double cabin escort to a drone where John Mary Sebwolf was. In that car, we found him there. So from there, still handcuffed and they wrapped up. They drove us around for more than an hour. We were taken to that house. It is a very good residential house. And I think it was planned because the mattresses are very new, blankets and bed sheets with those very good tiles. The room, before leaving Kampala Club, I had someone telling those taking us that you take them, but these ones, don't put them in one room, in the same room. You want a bright. So we are taken there with John Mary, because I had him introducing himself. I said, hey, I'm also going somewhere with this big man. I said, if I don't die there, I will survive. Because I knew someone who is the chairperson of electoral management is not a simple man. So we are taken there, in that room, there was no more torture. But being in one room alone, you just hear some people speaking. What I know, in the same house where I was, that's where Bright Muhumuza is. Oh, I left him. Because he was in a nearby room. Of course, Bright is so friendly, he can make friendship to anyone. So I would hear him in the window talking to those security officers there. He even asked them, where is my man? They say, he's just in the next room. So we used to knock. In the morning, you knock on the wall, and he replies. To know, hey, Ario, hey, like that. To the extent that it was like we are talking, and he used it to laugh. In that place, it is posho, because they tell you, here we eat for survival. It is only posho and beans. Posho and beans. And you have to take water. Not boiled water. Just from your, because the room is self-contained, from that room there is a tap. So you have to take 5 cups of water every day. So if you see someone coming out very healthy like me, you know water is life. Don't think she has not been there. But water keeps you healthy. This man, I think I saw you. If she's bwabanga ye yali ayambadde jeani ng'eriko damage nga tuvaayo kubanga olweba eri bakwambula engoye mu ruumu gy'olimu toyambala bakugamba yoza engoye zo ozireete tuzaanike tojja kuddamu kuziraba osigala oli bukunya ng'oli awo ng'owenzinzeko akasuuka. So from there, bewale tengoye zange nti nyambale nengamba nti wakati bantwala wa nasaba busabi nti Mukama yabakola ki yababiyimiriramu. They drove us for more than 2 or 3 hours nga bajjamu omu. Omwami Sebuufu twafuluma naye okuva to that house because we are bali bamaze okutusiba ebigoye ku maaso ne tuyingira mu motoka n'asaba eddagala n'agamba eddagala lyange lisigaddeyo. Then the other one said, you bring his medicine. So we basooka okumugjamu, I didn't know that he's the one who has come out. Naye bwe bamukomyawo yayogera eddagala lyange mulidirirwa mulimpi because he had some cough. Nempulira naye abantu abo bagezi nnyo bali boogera Luswahili and I pretend like I don't hear it. So yagamba nti afaada gambye ono muyinza okumuzaayo. bamufulumya ne baddamu ne bamukomyawo ku motoka. So okuvaawo ate ne baddamu ne bakola ki? Ne bamufulumya mu motoka. Ne batutwala, they would drop one by one, one by one, one by one. So nze bantuusa gye bantuusa, sajja yali muganda wange nga Munyankole, yaŋŋamba simba mazwa. Literally meaning that you kneel down. I also said, Jesus, receive me. Because what I knew, I expected a bullet. Wanga yali anyimiridde mabega. Kunagize nti Yesu onyakire nje yasheka. He said, lie down. I lied. He stepped on my neck. N'asumulula ekigoye ekyali kinsibye. N'agamba, make sure ebintu byange abitaddemu mu nsawo. Nali ndowooza nti n'akasente akataddemu, because I had 1.1 nga ngenda kukola order y'enkoko. That morning, ngamba bwe mmaliriza okusetting off, nsooke nkole order y'enkoko nga sinagenda Bright gye yali agenda okuntuma. Nali ndowooza ne sente azitaddemu, kumba ataddemu akasimu kokka nga tekalina na network. N'angamba, don't treat yourself before 5 minutes. N'angamba, why? Nobwezi baana sijja kuvaayo. Akayivanga bwe kaayitawo nenvaayo, nentunula, n'angamba, kirabika I'm now safe. Nenesiimuula, nentandika okutambula. Nentambula, olena sinkana omuzeeyi nemubuuza. N'agamba, enti bino baasi yeekuleese eno nti ye tete ebadde yakava eno. Kirabika ono omwami kalituusi gye baamutuulamu eyo payani nange gye bakola ki? Kubanga yali ono omuzeeyi yaŋŋamba just in 40 minutes ebadde yakavaayo ate ekomyewo. So nze mu mutima gwange ne ŋŋamba bayinza okuba basuddemu Bright in that place. I said that means Bright also is around. Nentambula n'omuzeeyi naye nga ŋŋamba kitalo mutabani. Okutuuka lwe yantuuse ewuwe n'akubira mutabani we n'aŋŋamba okundeeta e Kampala mitwalo 3, okuntwala Mpigi mitwalo 2. Ne mugamba omanyi bwe nvuga ontwale wa Mpigi. Amaye bwe ntuuka ku network oba bwe nafunako essimu yenna nja kukuba nfune transport. Then I had to call someone connecting n'anfunira emitwalo 5 n'engenda. Naye ebintu byali si byangu. Naye ekirungi kiri nti mu mbalala, because of what happened, ekyantuukako n'ekyatuuka ku Bright, one was some prominent people who even say, I voted for Kyagulanyi, I voted for Bright because of taking you. So some prominent people are picking. Ate ebyatuuka ewammwe kyekimu ekyali ewaffe. Even forcing presiding officers nti babe bebakola ki? Bebatiikinga obupapulo. And there are 2 who are in police custody because they refused. From there and then babukwata. So naye Katonda kyali naffe, we shall still fight for the struggle to the end.
Thank you very much, Comrade Simon. Simon, mobilizer waffe w'amaanyi mu Western Uganda, yali avuga amajole eyatufaako, era tumwebaza okuba nti asigadde ali loyo nnyo ku nsonga za struggle. But you can see the abuse and the violations that take place in this country. Of course, bano bembalazeeko babiri bali presenting abantu baffe bangi nnyo betutamanyi owe bali. Mena mumanyi Uganda ffe bwe bayita Munyarwanda wa Bobby, ye bakwata mukyala we n'omwana we niwe twogerera tetubalabako. Bajja waka ne bababuuza oyo omwana ali luddawa, ne bagamba tetumanyiwa waali. kye bakola kwe kukwata omukyala we n'omwana omuto nnyo niko batwala era ne betogerera teri amanyi kwa gye bali. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite now our national treasurer, who will in turn invite the Lord to speak to us, and we shall be able to call it a day. Otherwise, abakulembeze baffe abalala Honorable Nasolo webalenya okutuuka, n'abalala Maama Mukono webalenya okubeerawo olunaku olwaleero. Abaka ba Parliament oza bonna bana n'abanjudde council, so bonna banjudde already. Owekira Honorable Zake omuzoganyi, twebaza nnyo okulaba ng'okyaliwo era ekyazoganya, webalenya mwebalire ddala.
People power, our power, NUP, everywhere.
NUP.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press and fellow leaders and countrymen and women watching us from wherever you are. First of all, we would like to extend our deepest appreciation to the people of Uganda for embracing the message of protest vote, for mobilizing, for voting, for protecting the vote. From the onset, we indicated that the 4 pillars of protest vote is Kanonye, Kalonde, Kafume, Kabanje. Now, Kabanje, unlike the other aspects, does not have timelines. And you have heard many of our detractors saying, Ngate muna Kabanja. But our detractors don't set the timetable and program for us. Our brothers have given a very clear picture of what happened to them as examples of what happened across the country. The number of people in detention, the unfortunate developments at the residence of our president, the abduction of our leaders, and the continued pursuit of our leader. They all point to one thing, that the regime has lost legitimacy. The regime knows that the people of Uganda did not vote for it. It knows it is imposing itself on the people of Uganda. And because of that, it operates from a point of insecurity. It is insecure, comparable to a thief who breaks into your house. The thief may want to take a TV, but because this thief knows that the natural instinct of a human being is to fight back, they will make sure that they incapacitate you, because they know they are operating from a point of guilt. The regime is operating from a point of guilt. That is why it is abducting people. That is why it is bringing all manner of military hardware on the streets of Kampala and other parts of the country, because they are guilty and they know that indeed the people of Uganda may want to fight and redeem their victory. Also, on account of that legitimacy deficit, and this is not unique to the regime in Uganda, historically and across the world, regimes that have lost legitimacy always allocate themselves big percentages. From the days of Ferdinand Marcos, to Ben Ali in Tunisia, to Bashir in Sudan, to Hosni Mubarak in Egypt. In fact, this one allocated himself a small percentage of 71. Other authoritarian leaders allocated themselves 85, 89, and 90. But because the populations in those countries had a resolve like we have to reclaim their country from the hands of the captors, and because they did not set timelines to their version of Kabanje, even after giving themselves 89%, the regimes fell within a period of 1 year or 2 years. So we want to give confidence to the people of Uganda that the struggle is on. And that if you are fighting with an entrenched authoritarian regime, the best prescription to its machinations is resilience. Not to give up, fight on. This allocation of big percentages partly are aimed at discouraging people. Say, even if you vote against the regime, it will not go away. Even if you vote for an MP, we shall impose the one of our choice, like they did here in Kavule South and other parts of the country. But we are here to tell them that they are building on sand, that the people of Uganda, whom we are very grateful to, chose change. We are also very confident that we are on the right path, that we are on the side of history, and we want to encourage the people of Uganda not to fall for the traps of losing hope, of losing confidence, that this what has transpired should give them more anger and more reason to fight hard to make sure that they live in a country where they have the right to choose leaders of their choice. I thank you. I now have the ekisokera ddala kwebaza bannayuganda bonna we twavaayo nga tutandika campaigns ne tulangirira nti tugenda mu protest vote era ne tunyonnyola nti protest vote eri ku pillars 4: Kanoonye, Kalonde, Kakuume, Kabanje. Kati pillars 3 abannayuganda bazituukiriza era tubeebaza. Pira esembayo ey'okukabanja ate eyo yanjawulo kubanga yo terina timelines. Kubanga okulonda for example kwalina timeline tulina okubeerako nga 15. Naye pira eno eyakabanje terina timelines. N'olwekyo oyo yenna alowooza nti okunyaga akalulu nti byaggwa tebinaggwa. Ekyokubiri nti mu nsi yonna ne mu byafaayo awabadde bwanakyemalira webaawo okulonda obwanakyemalira bugenda ne buwewa ebitundu ebinene ebivudde mu kulonda. Ekyokulabirako ba Ferdinand Marcos, ba Ben Ali owa Tunisia, Hosni Mubarak owa Misiri ne Bashir owa Sudan nga bewa 85%, bewa 99%, bewa 95%, ng'ebyo byonna ekigendererwa kwe kumalamu abanansi amaanyi, naye n'ekyokubiri nga bagezaako okwongera kwepika n'okupika abawagizi baabwe tebakyalina maanyi. Naye abanansi b'ensi ezo ze njogeddeko kubanga nabo baali bakyali ku mulamwa gwa version yaabwe y'akabanja, waali waweddewo akabanga katono mu mawanga ag'enjawulo era obwanakyemalira ne babusuula ku ttaka kubanga baali bamanyi omulamwa gwe baliko ate nga bamanyi nti balina okusigala nga bali ku mulamwa. Nga ffe bwe tumanyi omulamwa gwe tuliko ate nga bwe tumanyi tulina okusigala ku mulamwa. Bino byonna ebigenze bikolebwa okukuba abantu, okuwamba abakulembeze, ebibadde mu maka g'omukulembeze waffe mubiwulidde. Ebyo byonna babikola kubanga bamanyi nti bye bakoze binyiiza. Bamanyi nti balinga omubbi bw'ayingira ennyumba yo ayinza n'okwata TV n'agenda, naye wakuba amanyi nti mu buwangwa bw'abantu omuntu bw'omunyagako ekintu ajja kwerwanako era abasiga nga bamaze okukuba balabe nti osobola kwerwanako. Bano nabo eyo guilt ye badrivinga kukola bino byonna bye bakola. Naye eky'omukisa omulungi basanze nga tulaba ate tuli confident nti n'Abannayuganda era nabo bamanyi nti bino byonna babikola lwa nsonyi, babikola lwa bubbi, ate tebigenda bamalamu amaanyi. Tulina ebyokulabirako bingi ng'ebyo byembalaze byetuze nga tusomerako, era bano bwe baba balowooza nti bino biwedde beerimba ate balinga oyo azimba ku musenyu. Mwebale nnyo. Seboloko.
Sebo twejala oyagala kunsuula omala onsasule. Twejala bebatereka ssente emunafu oyo sanji ensawo gyakwata nkalu naye tumwebaza olw'ogikwata gikuumise. People power. Our power. People power. NUP. Everywhere. NUP. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming for this media engagement. We want to appreciate all our leaders that have made it. A number of our leaders are out in the field. Today we have elections. for the last leg of local government leaders. So it's important for our leaders to be out there participating, and that's why not everyone is here, but we appreciate those who are here. Thank you for remaining steadfast. And to congratulate all of us, not just those who were declared, but all of us who participated in this very problematic, brutal, boisterous election. This was far from really what an election should be like. So anyone that participated at any level really deserves to be congratulated because of what we did go through. An election is a process. An election is not an event, as some people like to think of it as. It's a process which begins with the time people express interest, people are able to go out and consult, that's allowable in our law books, campaigns, then eventually the election D-Day, then post-election, all of that is the election process. And if you see our election, it was marred by all manner of violence, the brutality, the killings, wherever we went, tear gas, beatings, including journalists, by the way, and everybody else who did suffer. That shows you the kind of election that we had. So some people think the election was on 15th of January. No, the election is an entire process. And when you're making an evaluation, it's important that you have in mind the entire process as it went. The involvement of the army, the military, as we have seen again and again in our elections, and especially in the past, the just concluded election, is problematic because this is not even allowable in law. Sometimes people say we need certain reforms, and yes, it's important, our country needs certain general reforms, not just about our election. But there are things which are already in our law books. The law disallows the military's participation in partisan politics. That's already in the law. But it's not implemented. You saw in the last election, senior military officers, UPDF officers, at functions, in boot camps and so on, campaigning for the NRM candidate and the NRM general, which is not allowable within the law. But these fellows continue to do it with impunity, as we kept seeing it. So how do you expect, how could one expect those senior military officers who are campaigning for the NRM, how could they be expected not to rig for the NRM? Not to do everything and anything possible to see that the NRM is declared? That's the situation that we are talking about. General Museveni gave himself 71% of the vote. And I'm very specific with my words. Gave himself 71% of this vote, having rigged immensely, as you did see. Everybody saw videos of ballot papers being critiqued in favor of just one candidate, the NRM candidate, the ballot staffing, some of it being done by military officers. We saw that even being done for parliamentary candidates, NRM parliamentary candidates who were at the Tally Center, and you could see where the NRM candidate got 20, they add 5 at the left side to make it 520. Very ridiculous things that we did see happening. We saw the mess even after the election in many places like Masaka City. Some of these things are so odd and unbelievable, unprecedented. The things that have happened in this election. For the very first time, we saw that aspirants could be deleted from a voter's register. Unheard of. But this time around it happened. That somebody says, I don't want competition. So whoever is standing against me, let's delete them from the voters register so that they don't get to qualify to run. And this is somebody saying, I'm very popular. I've done amazing things for my people. If you're popular, why are you so scared of participating in a free and fair election? Anyhow, you go through all of that, people get declared, but the regime continues to fight. We saw the recent happenings in Masaka, which turned out to be a shame to our country's jurisprudence. How can a judicial officer disregard his own ruling? Because his ruling was, we are going for a recount. If we find even one ballot box tampered with, the recount will not happen. But they found not just one, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and more ballot boxes. Some had broken seals, others were empty. Imagine people participated in voting at polling stations and so on, but here they are telling us, no, this box is empty. Where did the ballot papers and DR forms go? No one knows. Others had ballot papers just in favor of the NRM candidate. Ridiculous, ridiculous things. It is a shame that the judiciary is actually quiet about these things. I know every judicial officer has got independence to operate as they should, but where a judicial officer goes against his own ruling, I would expect the judiciary really to speak out by way of saying, no, this person is putting our name to shame, because the deterioration keeps happening and keeps happening fast. And somebody is out there rejoicing that they won under these ridiculous, ridiculous circumstances. Look, all dictators that we have had, their script is the same. The 71% that Mr. Museveni gave himself is really to try and bolster his confidence. He knows he does not have the love and favor of the people. We saw wherever we went in the campaigns, the people of Uganda embracing us like never before. Deep in Karamoja, deep in Western Uganda, in every part of the country that we went to, people were receiving the message of change and expressing solidarity with it. So he said, no, I've got to deal with this. How? Let me give myself 71%. We have heard the stories. In 2015, then Sudan President Omar Bashir gave himself 94.5% in an election which was also riddled with low voter turnout, just like ours. The script is always the same, by the way. So in that election of his, he gave himself 94.5%. Unheard of. But a couple of months down the road, the same people whom he said voted for him with 94.5% ousted him. The same people. So how can it happen that nearly 100% of your entire country loves you, but a few months down the road, they're the same people who are booting you out? It's because you did not get that figure realistically. And so Mr. Museveni, together with the people around him, they are deceiving themselves that no, we have got the love of the people. 71%. It's only a matter of time. And look, I know we are going through a difficult time. Some have called it a season of mourning. And it's okay to go through that season. But we need to remain steadfast as a people. We need to get ready. The turning point for this country is just around the corner. And the regime knows that. They know that they are in the evening of their time. They know. And that's why they're doing all manner of things. Because they know that their day of reckoning has come. It is with us. All examples that we have seen from elsewhere, they show that our country is just about to have its rebirth. That's why the regime is doing all manner of things. Because they know. So they are panicking. They know that the 71% is non-existent. It's not there. Nearly 400 polling stations. Mr. Museveni gave himself 100%, mostly in Western Uganda. 100%. That means in the last 5 years, none of those people has died. Everybody turned up to vote. Meanwhile, the whole country, the voter turnout was low. But these ones, 100% turned out to vote. And they all voted for one person. In other polling stations, numerous ones, he was getting more votes than the registered voters. How does that make sense? So they know they did not get the 71%. That's why in the panic, they raided our president's home. Previously, they would go and lay siege on the outside. Now they went beyond that. Raided on the inside, vandalized property, and then assaulted our leader's wife. Very despicably, because they know they are guilty. They know they did not win this election fairly as they claim. And so in panic mode, they get to do all of these different things. That's why our leaders were abducted. Because if you have the support of the people to the tune of 71%, why go around abducting leaders? Dr. Lina Zedriga, Deputy President Northern, Mama Jolie, Jacqueline Tukamushaba, Deputy Western, John Mary Serufu, he's part of our election management committee, Brian Muhumza, our coordinator and colleague, and a plethora of other people. Abducted. It is now 3 weeks. The state has not accounted for them. The things that they blame Idi Amin Dada for having done previously, they have done in even better fashion. Because these are leaders, these are not obscure people. But 3 weeks later, you have not produced them in any court of law, you have not accounted for them. and you are happy that you won. But how? If you did win, why all of these ridiculous things? We have all seen the childish rants of Muhoozi Kainerugaba, son to General Museveni. Very childish rants. Now I want to kill Kyagulanyi, I'm looking for him, to deal with him. And all of the ridiculous things he keeps typing. And the challenge is that this is somebody who wields power. Never mind that he's not deserving of the position he occupies, and he knows it. There are better generals than this one, but because he's the son to General Museveni, they give it to him as an award. And you see the manner in which he conducts himself. But the worry is that he wields influence. So he will command the military, now go and raid Kyagulanyi's home. Now beat up this one. Now let's put this one in a basement. And all of these different things. The shameless arrest of our agents. All of this is the panicky mode of the regime. It says it won, but it knows it did not win. So what do? Arrest agents, our supporters. Nearly 1,000 people were arrested over, actually. Different parts of the country, our agents, supporters, and so on. So if you have good support, why pick up agents of your opponents from polling stations? You also want the world to see that you won fairly and squarely. So let the agents be there, and then you get your 110% because you got more votes than the registered voters. So all this is the panic of the regime because they know they did not win. There are demands that we are placing. We are a registered political party. The law knows about us as a political party. We are citizens of this country. We are leaders in this country. And so we are placing these demands. We demand, number one, the stoppage of abductions. We are not requesting. It is a demand that we are placing as leaders, as citizens of this country. And we are demanding the release of all those who have been abducted. If you think they've committed any offense, why don't you produce them in court? So we are not requesting. This is a demand that we are placing, a demand that is allowable within the law. We hope that the regime will have some few people therein who will sober up. We know that the bulk of it is very problematic, but hopefully there will be some sober fellows therein who will say, but look, this year is not right. Let's deal with this. So it's a demand that we are placing. We are demanding a release of all political prisoners. They have arrested people since 2021. Just concluded election, they have arrested people. We are demanding for their release. It's a legitimate demand that we are placing, and we hope that the regime will sober up. We still have many things we want to fight about. The way this election was conducted, and other issues, the state modus operandi. But even as we wait, even as we are quibbling over those issues, we want these demands acted upon with immediacy. And I know that sometimes the regime will say, okay, what will you do? Well, to give a new examples, Bashir gave himself 94.5%, but not long after, he was booted out. This regime is in the evening of its time, and they know. And so as the people, we have got to be emboldened. History is on our side, the law is on our side, and so we are making these demands. We hope that they will be sober enough to act upon them very quickly. We are calling on religious leaders. We are calling on cultural leaders, opinion leaders, to speak out regarding these matters. It's not enough for the religious leaders, as we hear them many times. They call on the people of Uganda, please be peaceful, and then they promote all these campaigns, I choose peace, and so on. It's not enough for you to demand already peaceful people to be peaceful when you are quiet about the wrongs that are being orchestrated by the regime. Surely religious leaders worth their salt. You should be speaking out against these ills. I would like to appreciate all those who are speaking out. And a number of religious leaders lately are speaking out. They're saying, no, this is wrong. The brutality is unacceptable. The raid on Makerere is wrong. The vote rigging is wrong. Many more such voices hopefully can come through. Because this is no longer about just the National Unity Platform. Those who have been saying, so NUP, what are you doing next? It should be Uganda, what are you doing next? After this just concluded election. Mind you, even some folks within the NRM are crying foul that they were also rigged, that the military was deployed against them. When you have bad governance, it affects everybody, regardless which side of the coin you fall on. And so all of us should be concerned about these issues as a people, that we rise up and say enough is enough. look, this regime obviously does not listen. But that does not mean we should stop speaking. That does not mean we should stop taking action, that we should stop demanding. They don't listen. They are very stubborn. They are obstinate. But we have seen more obstinate regimes that have eventually crumbled, more powerful regimes that have eventually crumbled. So let's play our part, all of us, whether you're a politician or not. And by the way, you don't have to be a politician to speak out against these ills, because it concerns you too. Don't wait for it to come to your doorstep. When somebody you know is also abducted, then you begin running around. We sometimes get calls from people who previously were ambivalent and they were saying we don't care about politics. They call us and they say, help me, my relative was abducted. You say, but you have been quiet all this while. Maybe if your voice had been added to ours, we would not get to where we are. So let's speak out, even when they don't listen. And there's numerous examples of us speaking out and they don't listen, but at least we get to be on record and history absolves us. In the most recent days, and I can share this example, people have been seeing what's been happening to our country's airline, Uganda Airlines. The road, the corruption, the flight delays, the operational malfunctioning. And we said, look, in 2022, I was chairing COSASE, and together with colleagues, we conducted an inquiry into Uganda Airlines. We found lots of corruption, incompetence, people hired right from the CEO, not qualified for the job, but they were regularly hired through the back door. They get to occupy offices, they don't follow procurement regulations, they give contracts to their own companies and companies of their boyfriends, girlfriends, relatives, in-laws, outlaws. And that's how this company was being conducted. No wonder there were losses year in, year out. And we said, look, for this airline to function properly, let's fix the governance issues. Let this company be accountable because it is using taxpayers' money. Those who are engaging in corruption and misappropriation of funds, let them be called to order, let them be held accountable. And you saw some fellows were saying, no, Joe, it's because you're opposition, you don't like this government. And I said, yes, of course, I don't like this government because of its bad governance, but the issues we are raising here, the records, they're very clear. And people fought the report, as you remember, the speaker saying you don't table it. He said, but we have done the work. Why are you afraid of a report? What are you trying to hide? But the day of reckoning was around the corner. We said, look, if nothing is done, as sure as day follows night, this airline is going to suffer. It might even eventually crumble again. And here we are. Some of those who were saying, I am bad, I am biased, they are now the ones who have been saying, hey, how can I wait for my flight for 10 hours, for 24 hours? We told you so. But it's important that we were on record. So as a people, as opinion leaders, as political leaders, religious leaders, let's be on record. Don't say, but when we speak out, the regime doesn't listen. It is okay. Let's take them on nonetheless. They're not supposed to listen. They're not supposed to respond with ease. Ours is to do what we ought to do. Very briefly, ensonga zino mu Uganda, twebaza abakulembeze baffe abazze olunaku olwaleero. Abakulembeze bangi bali engulu bwa local government, gavumenti ez'ebitundu, era tukyagoberera obululu obwo. Tuyozaayoza buli eyeetaba mu kalulu kano, abaalangirirwa n'abato obuwanguzi bwabwe. Kubanga akalulu kano ke twakavaamu, omuntu yenna okukeetabamu n'atuuka paka gye kaggweera abeera muzira. N'oyo gwe batalangiridde, kubanga twayita mu bintu bingi nnyo nno ddala, naye twebaza Katonda nti twabiyitamu ate tukyaliwo, ate nga tukyalemeddeko. Akalulu ebeera process terubeera lunaku ng'abamu bwe balowooza nti ennaku z'omwezi 15 January akalulu koolwo olunaku era bwe biggwa biba biwedde. Nedda, akalulu katandikira eri mu zi campaign era mwaziraba nga zijjudde emivuyo nga buli gye tulaga, ensambagere, emigo, amasasi, abantu baffe ne battibwa, bangi ne bafuna ebisago, bangi ne basibibwa. Ako konna kalulu. Paka lwe twalonda, olunaku lw'okulonda mwabiraba amashini tezikola, saa 6 bantu bannatandika kulonda ne beetamwa, abamu ne baddayo n'ewaka. Eventually ne bapaatiikamu obululu, batiikingira mu M7 ne bakuteekamu. Tugenze ku Zitali Center mwabiraba, wa NRM walina obululu 20 ebongerako ennukuta 5 afune obululu 5 mwabiraba byonna akalulu kaffe bwe kati bwe kaali amagye okwetaba mu kalulu kaffe ng'eggwanga nga bwe twabiraba kikontana n'amateeka amateeka tegakikkiriza naye mwabalaba nga bali ku mikolo abanene mu magye senior army officers n'akwata akazindaalo n'asabira Mwami Museveni akalulu kati omuntu oyo omusuubira otya obutakola ekisoboka kyonna okulaba nti Mwami Museveni bamulangirira oba kukabba oba kukuba abantu baffe ba agents baffe okubawamba okubajja ku zi polling station n'ebirala okulaba nti owa NRM alangirirwa naye nga amateeka gakirambika bulungi waliwo bagamba nti of course twetaaga reforms yes ng'eggwanga lyaffe tulina ebintu bingi bye tulina okulongoosa amateeka enfuga yaffe n'ebirala naye waliwo ebintu ebimu ng'olwedi ne mu mateeka mu ebiri kati amateeka tegakkiriza amagye kwetaba mu byabufuzi byabukulembezi ebya party politics naye bakikola mu bumenyi bw'amateeka. Mwami Museveni yagenda neyeewa ebitundu 7 ku buli 100 nkaluluka naye nga buli omu yabiraba polling stations zikunukiriza okuwera ng'ebinambu ye yafuna 10%. Abalonzi baawo bonna tewali yafa mu bbanga lino lyonna myaka gino tewali yayosa bonna bajja ne balonda ate bonna balonda ye. Waliwo ne polling stations endala nga ye yasukkamu ne mu 10% kubanga obululu bwe yafuna bwe bamuwa nga businga n'abalonzi abali mu register ya polling station eyo kakiba kitegeeza yasukka ne mu 10%. Kati ekyo kijja kitya omuneeyi wa 71% n'ajaganya mbu nawangudde kweri omanyi era twabiraba n'ababaka aba NRM bangi nga bababbira bangi nga babongerako zifiga bangi nga babongereramu obululu wali twali kuzitali senta nga lutalo oluli wali omuntu wafaze alina DR form yawangudde nga namba 2 wa NRM tafunye bintu kimu kyakubiri owaffe kyafunye naye ng'obalaba balemerako balina okulangirira owaabwe naye bali eyo nti affe twawangula akalulu. Omar Bashir yali president wa Sudan mu 2015 yeewa ebitundu 9.5 ku buli 10 94.5% nga bali mu kalulu era n'abantu abalonda baali batono nga bwe kyabadde ewaffe kubanga abantu abo batiisatiisa babalaga nti ne bwe munaalonda mutya tetujja kulangirira bye twagala ne yeewa 94.5%. naye wayita emyezi mbale abantu bennyini bye yali agamba nti bamwagala nnyo bamuwadde 94.5% be bamusigotulula ne bamugoba. Kakati tuli Mwami Museveni ne banne batunuulira ebintu bino ojja kwewa 71% naye abantu abajaganya bo baliwa lwaki abantu bali mu kiyongobero abantu abo bennyini olina okubeegendereza kubanga si be baakulonda wabeepaatiiseeko. So ffe kye tulina okukola kunywera kulemerako eno gavumenti ekimanyi nti eri mu kaseera kayo ak'enkomerero tugula bakola emivuyo egya buli kika tunuulira ekyabadde Masaka City kandidate waffe n'awangula bulungi bali ne bagenda mu kooti omulamuzi naawe ensala ye n'agamba nti kale tugenda kukola recount naye bwe tusanga akabokisi ne bwe kaba kamu nga kalina obuzibu bikomaawo bagenzeeyo basanze obubokisi si kamu si bubiri si buna si butaano si mukaaga kabungi obuliko emivuyo omusiiru nga zaakutulibwa obulala nga bukalu abantu balonda polling stations ezo results ne zivaayo DR form weziri naye box ezo nga zonkalu ne weebuuza buno obululu baabutaddewa DR form zino baazitaddewa box endala ne basanga nga obululu obulimu bwawa NRM yekka naye omulamuzi ono n'agenda maaso nti newankubadde bino bisanze njagenda maaso paka tukole recount ate nga yeyakawo ensala nti bwe tutasanga akabokisi ne bwe kaba kamu tetujja kgenda maaso. Ekitongole ekiramuzi simanyi lwaki kisirifu ku nsonga zino kyo tekiswala yesu omulamuzi alina okubanga yeetengeredde okuwa ensala ye naye waliwo byolaba nti nedda kino nedda kibaswaza mwe temuswala mwakafuna ne chief justice omupya naye omuntu nakola naawe ensala ye naye ate n'akootana n'ensala ye ne musigala nga musirise. Ebintu bino byonna bikolebwa kubanga gavumenti eno ekimanyi nti eri mu kaseera kaayo ak'olweggulo. Kyovudde olaba bafunye akatengo bali mu panik, buli bye bakola byonna kavuyo keereere kubanga bakimanyi nti batuuse ku kisembayo. Kyovudde olaba bakola ebintu ng'okulumba amaka ga pulezidenti waffe. Edda bagendangayo ne beetoloola amaka ne babeerayo, n'eggulo ono kati bayingidde munda ne bamenya ne boonoona ebintu ne bakuba ne mukyala we. Can you imagine? Kubanga bakimanyi nti bannansi tebaabalonda kwekkola effujjo lino lyonna lyonna. Abakulembeze baffe bali mu kuwambibwa. Lina Zedriga deputy wa Northern, Jolly Jacqueline Kamusha ba deputy wa Western, John Mary Sebufu wa Kakiuka afaako ebyokulonda, Bride Muhumuza oyo mu ku bakoordinator baffe Mwankole n'abalala bawambibwa kati weeks zigenda kuwera 3. Tebamanyiiko mayitire. N'eno ye gavumenti egamba nti ffe twakomyawo enkola ey'amateeka rule of law. Nga mususe n'ebyo Amini bye yakola kubanga batera okumenya Amini yattanga abantu n'abawamba n'akola atya. Kati mmwe kyanjawulo ki ng'omuntu atalino wa bulijjo mukulembeze weeks 3 family temanyiwa waali, balooyo tebamanyi wakutandikira, tetumanyi oba mulamu oba ali mu mbeera ki. Batubuulira ebisaamu mugumya bannaffe abamu be baasiba bamusangayo eyo amagulu gaasanyala atakyatambula. Kati mumwina njawulo ki ne Idi Amin Dada gwe muvumirira abagamba nti mwe mwatereza ebintu? Mulaba Mwami Muhoozi ebintu byawandiika ku mitimbagano ebyekyanda ekito naye nga musajja mukulu mukulembeze. Of course obukulembeze bwe baamuwa okudumira amagye tabugwanira, naye olwokubanga mwana wa mukulu ne bagamba tumuwe. Ng'omuzadde bwagenda mu katale n'agulira omwana we ekyokuzanyisa, n'amugulira ekimotoka, n'amugulira ekimundu oba ki eby'abaana abato. Kati ono ye baamuwa amagye malamba, era kyovudde omulaba ye akitwalanga kirabo kye kyakuzanyirako. Ebintu byawandiika ebitategeerekeka, Kyagulanyi munoonya, ngenda mutta, simanya ngenda musika biki, ebintu ebituweebuula ng'eggwanga. Bino byonna babikola kubanga bakimanyi tebalina buganzi mu Bannayuganda. Abantu baffe bangi abawambiddwa ba agents, polling agents babasanga ku polling station. Bano bagamba nti bakitalo nnyo balina obuwagizi 71%, naye ogenze ba agent babanno obajja ku polling station. Oba obuwagizi obulina, lwaki toleka banno buli omu n'abeerawo n'owangula bulungi obuwagizi oba obulina? Naye bakimanyi tebabulina. Twagala okudimandinga Sajjoni asinga okutegeera Oluganda Sematimba bwegire. Demanding kye ki mu Luganda? Kuwakubanja. Ate ekigambo ekirala ekiggumiza ennyo. Kale tujja genda n'ekyo. Abantu baffe bangi baawambibwa. Gavumenti eno tugigamba era tugibanja abantu baffe bano. Tetusaba, tetuli mu kwegayirira. Abantu baffe bano abaawambibwa bateebwe mu nnambiro. Bonna abazze bawambibwa. Ate n'okuwamba abantu kikome. Ensonga eyo tugyogerako ng'abakulembeze nga bannansi. Tetukyali mu kwegayirira nti bannange gavumenti tugisaba etuyambe ete abantu bano. Tubanja abantu bano bateebwe mu nnambiro. Oba tebalina musango, bwemba muteebereza nti bazza omusango, lwaki temubatwala mu kooti? Wiiki 3 mubatadde ebyo tumanyi wabo bali. Twagala abantu baffe tubabanja. Era tudimandinga tubanja okuteebwa okw'abawagizi baffe bonna abazze bawambibwa ne mu kalulu abazze bakwatibwa abamu bali mu makooti bali mu makomera. Twagala abantu baffe bano bateebwe kuba tebalina musango. Mugamba mwawangudde, kati mwe mwawangudde lwaki ate mweyisa bwe muti mu ngeri y'obuswavu? Tulindiridde abantu baffe bano bateebwe. Tukyalina ennyombo nammwe nnyingi era nga tujja kuyomba kuba twagala eggwanga lyaffe literere, naye nga tetunagenda nawala nnyo. Abantu baffe bano tubeetaaga bateebwe. Tusaba abakulembeze baffe ab'ennono, bannaddiini, amaloboozi gammwe geeyongere okuvaayo ku nsonga zino. Tekimala tutera okulaba bannaddiini nga bavaayo bagamba Bannayuganda bannayobeere ba mirembe, choose peace n'ebirala. Ekyo tekimala ng'osaba Bannayuganda babeere ba mirembe ate ng'olwedde ba mirembe naye nga tuyogera ku bikyamu gavumenti yo byekola nedda oba olimba. Twebaza okukosa abamu tubalaba ensangi zino boogera era tubeebaza bannaddiini abavaayo ne boogera ne bagamba nedda ekiwamba abantu kikyamu, ekyokulumba amaka ga munno n'okuba mukyala w'ekikyamu n'ebirala tubeebaza. Nyina abalala amaloboozi gaabwe geeyongere. Ensonga eno bannange si ya NUP just nga political party, nedda yaffe ffenna ng'eggwanga. Kubanga eggwanga bwe litereera ffenna tuganyulwa. Eggwanga bwe biba nga teritambulira ku mateeka, aba NUP si be bokka abajja ofuna obuzibu. Naawe wagira NRM enkya ojja funa obuzibu oba bajja kuwamba ng'obanyiizizza, abantu bakubuuze waliwa nga bawamba abalala ng'osirise. So amaloboozi gaffe gonna gaveeyo. Yes, tukimanyi nti gavumenti eno tewulira ya mutwe munene njogera endala, naye tusigale nga twogera, tusigale nga tuli ku likodi ku nsonga zino, kubanga tetwagala gye bujjeeyo abaana batubuuze nti bannabyabufuzi bannaddiini lwaki mwasirika ne mutakozesa yadde n'eddoboozi lyammwe nga Archbishop Janan Lumbu yakola. Talina gwe yakuba kikonde, talina gwe yakuba luyi, naye yayogera era tumujjukira katulina ne public holiday namba kubanga yayogera. Kakati naffe twogere tubeere ku record. Ebintu bingi kasita bibeera ku record. Enkya batwejjeereza jabawo ekyokulabirako kibunga maliza. Ensangi zino muze mulaba bannansi bangi nga bemulugunya ku kitongole kyaffe ekyennyonyi Uganda Airlines. Tabagamba naye ekitongole kyaffe kino ekyennyonyi, ennyonyi bwe zikeerewa, emirimu bakola kati bengalye, ssente bwe zibbibwa, losses zifuuka losses n'ebirala bingi. Netubagamba naye twali ku record 2022 nali kulembera akakiiko ka Kosasenze ne bannange ne tunoonyereza ne tuzuula emivuyo mingi mu Uganda Airlines, obubbi bwa ssente y'omuw'omusolo, emirimu bamala gakola, abantu emirimu bagifunira mu bumooli nga n'ebisaanyizo tebabirina, ng'oviira ddalako nankulu wa kampuni eyo CEO emirimu bwe bajeewa bonga batondawo bu kampuni, so procurement oli n'aleeta ka kampuni ke ne kaweebwa contract ez'enjawulo. Ebintu bino byonna ne tubiteeka ku record ne tugamba tutereeze abantu abasaalidde okufuna emirimu bagifune, abatagwanidde abatalina bisaanyizo bagobebwe, bano ababba ssente y'omuw'omusolo bakwatibwe. Naye abantu abamu ne bagamba bwe ssennyonyi ebyo byogera kubanga toyagala gavumenti. Yes, gavumenti eno sijagala kubanga etuliisa akakanja era obukulembeze tebutambuza bulungi, naye ng'ovudde ku kya ssennyonyi obutayagala gavumenti eno bye yali ayogerako byo si bituufu. Ne bagamba bino records weeziri, n'abamu ne bagamba nti agwe just gavumenti eno lwakubanga ogiwakanya. Naye kati abamu ku baali bagamba nti nze nakyekubiira kati be babadde boogera ku luno, tubagamba ekirungi twali ku record. Oba oliawo ensonga zino singa twazitereeza ku luli tetwali tuuse wano. So kikulu ne tubeera ku record nga bannansi, ng'abakulembeze, nga bannaddiini, ng'abakulembeze b'ennono, ne tubeera ku record nga twogera ku bikyamu bino ebigenda mu maaso. Gye bujjeeyo abantu bajja kugamba omuntu ono yali mutuufu, munnaddiini ono waakiri yayogera, baamukola bwe bati naye yayogera. Mwebale nnyo bassebo ne banyabo.
Press conference kwetiriradde olunaku olwaleero
tiri obusungu nga balaze bungi. Kale mwenna abatulaba, mwenna abali eyo, mbalamusizaako mwenna muli mutya, mugamba ki? Katusuubire nti muli bulungi. Ffe eno si birungi, tukyabanja Uganda empya, tukyabanja Uganda akaseera ke twatambula ennyo, ennaku ezasoba mu 100 okutambula Uganda eno nga tunoonya obuwanguzi bwaffe, nga tunoonya Uganda erimu emirembe, nga tunoonya Uganda erinamu ebyenjigiriza ebirungi. Bassebo ne bannyabo, tukyagenda mu maaso n'okubinoonya era tukyagendera ddala mu maaso n'okubanja obuwanguzi bwaffe. Tukyanno tukyabubanja era mumba nga gye muli eyo nga mwazikiza teri kuzikiza tukyabanja mwami Museveni obuwanguzi bwaffe twatalaaga Uganda namba east ne west twatalaaga west ne north yonna nga tunoonya